Hi, just want to show you guys where I'm at. I added a pressure sensor, a BME280 by Bosch. It works really good. I like it. Got it integrated so that when you take a breath, it actually responds to you instead of force feeding you a breath. All right, let me show you. So this is the BME280 Bosch. So there's a little chip in there, and I got this one from Adafruit. So that's what one looks like in the bag, and this is this is what it looks like installed into something that I 3D printed. So basically, this is your typical ambu bag, which I didn't want to use, and I 3D printed a part to stick into this CPAV hose that I bought that's heated. So I can apply some voltage over here and heat up the incoming air. And then I 3D printed another piece right here to go from the CPAV hose into like the rest of this ambu bag. So this piece used to go in here. Anyway, so this is where I put the pressure sensor. So it senses as close to the patient as possible. And it looks kind of funky, but it actually works really well. It's using SPI SPI bus going into the Raspberry Pi, getting read 10 times a second. So that's kind of what it looks like at 10 times a second. And so I'm going to go ahead and let this fire up. So right now we're stopped. Here's my stepper motor. So I can just push it over here just so you guys see what it does. So he's going to sit there and home. He rotates counterclockwise, and he's going to home on that switch, the switch right there. So this is his resting point. So this will, as I mentioned in the other video, this, as it goes back and forth, this piece right here is going to push on something. So I really wanted to use this thing to push against, because at least if I push this down an inch, I know I'm getting some fixed amount of volume, and so it'd be easy to compute the amount of volume, because in here somewhere I have tidal volume. And I even got, this is a web page, so I can even go on this thing and say click on the calculator, and it goes to like some tidal volume calculator, and you tell how tall you are, male, female, and it'll figure out how much volume you need to put into somebody. But anyway, so this thing I bought, and it goes into a mannequin apparently, and it's almost impossible to squeeze down. You have to like put 40 pounds of pressure onto this thing, because it's like a CPR training class, and this is supposed to go into a mannequin's chest. It's almost impossible to press down, so my stepper motor can never push this thing. I need a way bigger motor. But anyway, I bought this thinking it was the right size, but it's tiny. This is a boot for a Geostorm steering, like rack and pinion steering thing. It's way better. It's way more pliable, but it's the wrong size. So I don't know. So I'm going to punt. I'm just going to use this thing. So this is 10 times easier to squeeze. So far, the trickiest part of this project was reading the pressure sensor efficiently. So because we're reading it pretty quick, 10 times a second, you got to be really mindful of what the processor is doing. So for starters, I created a SQLite database on the SD card, and SD card, the read and write time is too slow. I actually had to start doing things on RAM disk, which was I don't know, 10 or 100 times faster. So you can see here that this thing updates nice and fluidly. Little things like accessing the database. I'll go ahead and do a quick query. Timestamp. So I'll sort by timestamp, and I'll do a limit by 10. So watch what happens to the graph. So this query is taking a little bit of time. It's going to take about 5 seconds. And basically the updating of that graph stalls. So this is not good. And it finally returns. So you can't have that. So little things like not sorting on the timestamp. So databases, in this case SQLite, I'm not an database expert, but they have a built-in column called row ID. And if I sort on row ID, basically I grab my last, whatever, 10 reads in this case. So if I do that, it's super fast. So I can do this all day long and not affect, you know, I'm basically not blocking the database. Well, right here, the database was locked. So if you do this enough times, the database basically gets locked. So, but this is a lot better than sorting by the timestamp. So the other thing that was tricky with this is triggering on the breath. You have high pressure days and low pressure days. So this pressure changes all the time. And so what I did is I had to take a running average from only like 4 seconds back and eliminating like highs and lows and the potential breath that you just took. So if you look on this upper left corner, you got this number 990.247. So that's my running average for the last 4 seconds. And I got this set point of 0.12. And so basically the pressure has to drop by that amount for me to recognize a breath. So that was a little tricky. So that math is my trigger point is 990.13, well, 126 now, and it fluctuates. So you can just see in just ambient air for normal atmospheric pressure, this thing's bouncing around by about 1/10 of a hectopascal. So I'll go ahead and take a breath. And it's pretty dang good. It works well. So I'll take a breath using my mouth. So those were actually easy to detect way back when. So breathing through your nose is actually way more subtle. So one thing I didn't mention is on forced air, apparently your breath is not 50% inhale and then 50% exhale. It's like 30% roughly inhale, and it's quick. Your inhale is a lot sharper and your exhale is a lot slower. So anyway, I tweaked that, so that's actually working. Yeah, this could be a full-time job for somebody. I guess that's why these machines are like $30,000 to $50,000. The other small tweak that seems to be pretty popular is like a mode called CPAP, continuous positive airway pressure. It's basically that. It's basically just blows into your lungs all the time. And then the other one is PEEP, some kind of pressure at the end of your exhale, so that when you're sick and you got like lung issues going on, ARDS or whatever it's called, one thing that's beneficial for you is if some air stayed in your lungs. So there's basically, it's a valve that goes in somewhere, so it doesn't let you exhale all the air. Alrighty, thanks for watching.